Thank you for tuning in to our brief discussion on organizational change management from a leadership perspective through some pretty extraordinary circumstances. To give you a brief idea of what this session will touch on, we'll speak to one of the key challenges of leading through a global pandemic, address the process of change as your organization continues to adapt to each new challenge COVID-19 presents. We'll also take a serious look at employee wellness and the programs that support it before sharing a few concluding thoughts from our experiences. My name is Penny Tootle, and I'm the Director of Customer Engagement with Utilligent, specializing in organizational change management with a focus and a passion on helping you to manage the people side of change. Leaders, as you initiate new processes to support customer needs, consider that your frontline is also experiencing the pressures and anxieties present in your communities. Now more than ever, you need to lean on your HR professionals and begin to infuse change management efforts with wellness and mental care support for those maintaining the organization's service standards. Extraordinary times call for extraordinary perspectives. So let's take a look at our leadership strengths and ask how best to support our employees as we weather this storm together. The preeminent voice in leadership scholarship is that of Dr. Donald Clifton, who, along with his colleagues from Gallup, have solidified the power of leading from your strengths and allowing others to do the same. Dr. Clifton asserted throughout his works that a leader needs to know his strengths as a carpenter knows his tools or a physician knows the instruments at her disposal. What great leaders have in common is that each truly knows his or her strengths and can call on the right strength at the right time. This explains why there is no definitive list of characteristics that describes all leaders. And further, why we are not advocating that there is a leadership style or strength that will present itself as the solution for what challenges us today. What I believe we will find is that there are abundant opportunities to target our trust building efforts, as Bruce Avolio asserts, to transform today's followers into tomorrow's leaders. We take our lead from decades of research on leadership strategies, principles, and models, including Cousins and Posner's seminal work on leaders operating at their best. Our goal today is to sharpen or adjust your focus as leaders on what you do to inculcate a sense of acuity within the ranks of your organization, to provide support and instill hope that your organization, your teams, your employees will get through this. By serving your employees in this manner, we believe you will ultimately find great personal reward. Early in my career, I worked for a gentleman by the name of Ted Atencio back when Citibank National Association was the number one issuer of credit cards in the world, and MCI and AT&T were vying for a distant second. Now, I know I'm dating myself, but bear with me. While my position was far removed from this C-level executive, I was responsible for providing the compliance documentation for Citibank's first secured card offering. At the time, Citibank was offering a student credit card that was secured by a CD with a 6% annual percentage yield of up to a $5,000 credit limit. A low marketing strategy was meant to give us time to adapt and grow into the program as applications trickled in. But as soon as the offer hit the first campus, we were overwhelmed with applications as it seemed that every parent with a college student on the dole attempted to capitalize on this unprecedented investment opportunity. Mr. Atencio immediately communicated with the teams, walking us through our critical misses in the rollout as an organization. He gave us a clear plan for how we would address the applications in progress and what would become of those to be received. Each day, as the program changes were pushed, he led with a message that focused on the loyalty targets originally envisioned for the offering. I personally had a clear understanding of how my work took shape around the daily changes. He reinforced what was good about the offering and how it still held promise for the organization. And he spoke about what we missed in concert with how we would recover. I felt as though I was a part of all of it. Just as my colleagues, we took our lead from Mr. Atencio's messaging, and we could hear from the secured card challenge that it was quickly becoming a triumphant victory. When Gallup curated more than 10,000 surveys of the four strengths they found to be most desired in leaders, we know that all of those were exhibited in this scenario. Mr. Atencio provided for us what your teams need from you: trust, stability, compassion, and hope. Now we recognize that you're only able to contend with these extraordinary challenges from the tireless efforts of those dedicated on your front line. Everyone from distribution and transmission personnel to contact center agents and a host of technical and operational teams are synonymous with utility organizations who are unswerving in supporting the community and what they're dealing with right now. Listen, you've expanded service options. You've even adjusted your hours of operations. Many of you have already relaxed payment due dates and arrangement requirements while ensuring continuous service quality throughout the distribution and delivery systems. Your teams continue to demonstrate your organization's commitment to serve. The challenge we want to focus on in the next few minutes is that in the midst of all that is happening on the front line, a heightened focus on employee well-being is essential for successfully navigating the changes still to come. How are your employees making sense of the implications of COVID-19 restrictions in your service territory? How are employees making use of the organization's payment relief protocols? How are single parents working for you balancing the implications of family care? And where does HIPAA and EHS converge to address positive employee testing? And then what protocols do you have in place to protect the safety of your on-site team members and that of their families? Our hope is that this discussion sparks employee-centric change management tactics that address the personal implications of the utility process improvements that are underway. Think of it this way. While your organization is laser focused on addressing community needs through the traditional business interaction challenge you see represented in the first column, execution requires additional efforts on the part of employees that are contending with other extenuating pressures. Utility workers have no reprieve on scheduled work hours. Families of employees are falling ill and performance is waning as uneasiness and grief plague utility employees every day. Employee challenges such as these in the middle column might be addressed through readily available opportunities, like those shown in the right column. Something as simple as IVR messaging to offset inbound volumes through self-service function, creative work scheduling to support extenuating needs, and collaborating with bargaining leadership on cross-functional contingency plans for coverage are what we're talking about when we advocate for comprehensive health and wellness programs. These are plans that incorporate strategies to address pragmatic occupational expectations while understanding human motivational need satisfaction. As leaders, we want to ensure that the changes we introduce align with this as a guiding approach to addressing COVID-19 within our utility functions, as we serve our internal family while responding to our external community. Any change practitioner would tell you that all change must be honestly assessed to measure the best course of action. Our business processes and systems offer a baseline from which to launch new processes. Measuring what must be done is a matter of knowing what risks we're willing to accept as we move forward with a recovery strategy, really as our guidepost. But we could ill afford to risk losing our most precious resource in the process of responding to change. Change is indeed a process, and leaders like Mr. Atencio are excellent change facilitators. By communicating what was changing and keeping the most pertinent message and new detail before us, this executive helped his frontline employees to assess what was changing through their own lens. He allowed us the space to accept the change and provided us the resources to fully adopt the new way of doing business. In this way, he ensured that he did not lose his employees in the process of this great change. While the road seemed to have no end, he provided his employees with confidence that he was leading us out of the storm and not into a whirlwind. You can absolutely do the same. With just a little strategic internal marketing, you can create resilience in your employees. Resilience, like success, has certain markers that can be targeted as goals. If by next week we have shifted our disconnect processes to calibration, we can adjust the preventative maintenance schedule for the next year and continue to shore up other areas of our infrastructure. This is an example of how leadership messaging can direct and better focus us on the future. Create a message that can resound through all areas of the business. Speak to the heart of your team members and the future of your organization. And by all means, remember the four prominent leadership strengths that resonate with followers as you craft your messaging. Create an honest, specific, empathetic, and encouraging message. In addition to employing traditional change strategies, how we address employees grappling with the implications of a global pandemic on their finance, family, and health with dignity is an important leadership goal. In the same way that we assess change readiness, we must ask the employee, how can we help? The climate surrounding this pandemic presents a challenge of uncertainty that cannot be dismissed. Your employees are concerned about job security, even in a utility. Some of your employees are experiencing financial distress as household incomes take dramatic cuts and resources run short for daily staples, while seasoned employees watch helplessly as retirement benefits dwindle in a failing market. Let's not forget the health anxiety of critical workers who are exposing their families every time they return home from your workplace. To that end, we took a look at a study that examined several hundred workplace interventions for high stress medical employees. The studies largely employ participatory interventions facilitated through technology that were well received and effective for promoting job satisfaction and relieving work anxiety. We found that understanding what is challenging your employees requires that you ask them. Create short, simple surveys or facilitate small group video town halls. Use the tools on hand to give employees an opportunity to express their concern and by all means respond to them. These are just a few of the wellness programs that came up in a survey of the Society of Human Resource Management Network members. Under ideal circumstances, change practitioners would advocate for change readiness assessments and detailed plans for acclimating employees to change through a structured methodological program. Suffice it to say, our current circumstances are not ideal, but the need to support our employees through this change extends beyond pragmatic process reengineering. It encompasses the overall personal well-being of each employee as it relates to this crisis. We hope that you consider these two sides of change management as you develop strategies to respond to change that you can't anticipate. Within your strategy for addressing employee concerns, take notice of the employee who is just okay. I think we can all agree that just okay is not okay. A growing body of empirical research in public service motivation theory illustrates that the shift from fair to fully engaged is a matter of appreciation. When employees feel genuinely appreciated, work stresses and challenges move to the peripheral of employee focus and become easier to work through. When I need your help, I really need your help. This is the kind of crisis that will push employees to the brink, and a request for help should be met with a well thought out plan for support. Expectations are an important foundation for embracing change. The best way to shape expectations and connect employees with support is to proactively orient team members to the interventions that are available. More than an EAP pamphlet, this involves walking employees through what to expect when they participate in wellness programs. Be specific about the support that is being offered for the emotional implications of isolation of themselves and their loved ones, especially during social distancing requirements as they come to work. Speak to the importance and support employees with developing resilience plans for self and family in the event of illness. Your strength as a leader will shine through such programs as the need for them continues to grow. As consultants to the utility sector, we are ennobled by every opportunity to support our peers in this fight for survival, normalcy, and recovery. Our experience as trusted advisors to the utility organizations around the globe have taught us that even the strongest teams need a little help along the way. What we appreciate most about this industry is utilities have a propensity for sharing their stories with one another. And to that end, we encourage you to use this webinar and investigate the leadership research and the reference materials provided to facilitate internal discussions and even conversations with industry peers to prepare systems of care for those we depend on to get through this crisis, our employees. Now, we hope this information is helpful to you and appreciate the time you have given us to share these best practices in leading your teams through extraordinary change. Our contact information, resources cited in this presentation, and an overview of our company follows for your convenience. Thank you again.